Harry the Hammer with further review by Housecrafters. Housecrafters provides complete home renovation services with one call does it all. That includes exterior home services like roofing, siding, home additions, and much more. Call 716-626-NAIL.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Further Review podcast. I'm Jay Skurski, joined by Executive Sports Editor Perryn back from Carolina and the site of a 40-9 victory for the Buffalo Bills over the Carolina Panthers. Perryn, the score would indicate that this was an easy game in some respects, and in some aspects it was. In others it was not. But I think we have to start with one of the best games in franchise history, and that is no hyperbole. James Cook rushes for 216 yards, number 6 all-time, behind mostly a guy named O.J. Simpson. In terms of single-game rushing yards, incredible performance by Cook, excellent job by the offensive line, by the wide receivers, by the tight ends, by Reggie Gilliam, the fullback, who needs to get some love. Fullbacks got to get some love here too. But the running game was obviously working, and that started with Cook. Really, really impressive showing. What were your impressions of the Bills running back yesterday?
Well, I think, first and foremost, Jay, a lot to cover there with the running game. But first and foremost, I think you'd probably agree that this was a deliberate attempt to get James Cook going early and often. I don't think there's any question that the coaching staff kind of realized in the previous 2 games against New England, Atlanta, both losses, that they probably didn't have him involved enough. Certainly against Atlanta, when they didn't get him going, particularly in the first half. They came out of the gate in the second half against the Falcons and got him going, but it was probably a little bit too little, too late. But certainly that was a what's the way to put it? That was a concerted effort to get him going early and often down in Charlotte. And boy, did they do it. And I'm glad you mentioned not only the offensive line, which did a tremendous job. James Cook, his skills speak for themselves, his balance, his ability to cut back, his vision, but also in particular the wide receivers, and of course Reggie Gilliam as well, the tight ends, the difference that they make in the ground game, particular Jackson Hawes, Dawson Knox, and Dalton Kincaid, their ability, all the receivers' ability and willingness to downfield block makes all the difference in the world. And Reggie Gilliam, of course, on that long 64-yard run, he had the key block that sprung James Cook to get through the middle of the line of scrimmage. But boy, listen, the guy was running with bad intentions, put it to you like that. And what else can you say? When you do that, you don't have to, you sort of, as the coaching staff or many coaching staffs like to say, you can stay on schedule. You don't have to worry about pressing, trying too hard, trying to hit home run plays that may or may not be already there. And then you don't have to worry about, as they say, playing hero ball. You stay on schedule and you sort of let the rest of the game take care of itself. And, of course, the defense can sort of pin their ears back when they start to get a big lead, and that's what you saw with the defense getting 7 sacks, too. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the show. But, yeah, what else can you say? A career game from James Cook, who's having his best season so far as a pro.
Yeah, dare I say it looked easy. I mean, that was kind of the word that you would use. I mean, he was picking up big chunks of yardage before you even saw any contact. I mean, how often do you see a running back celebrating at the 20-yard line on his way into the end zone? I mean, he's got his arm up as he's crossing the 20. It was just a remarkable performance by all involved for the run game. And, it's clear here 8 weeks into the year that this offense sort of goes through James Cook, and the running game is certainly the strength of this team and this offense right now. And we'll get more on why that is in the next segment.
Harry the Hammer goes to work. Harry the Hammer here from Housecrafters, and I am one happy hammer. We just finished this addition and kitchen, and it's beautiful. Look at this place. It's gorgeous. If you have a remodeling project in mind, a kitchen, bathroom, or mother-in-law apartment, one call really does do it all at Housecrafters. For a free estimate, call Housecrafters at 646-NAIL.
So, Jay, the one thing that they didn't have to do because James Cook and the ground game was so dominant was go to the air a whole lot in terms of going downfield and having to try to force things. They were so far ahead. They were so dominant in the ground game. They didn't have to go for the big hero ball shot, the big deep shot, the big, 3rd and 23 conversion or something like that. They didn't have to go deep. Uh, and they frankly didn't even try to go deep. And this was the one thing that maybe the Bills really didn't establish whether they could do or not. They didn't really even have to try to do it. But that's the question, the one question that remains as we go down the road here with them, whether they can get that pass game really, really going, particularly down the field. We talked about this all season, right? But the question still remains. Keon Coleman, 3 receptions, 30 yards. Dalton Kincaid, 1 reception, 23 yards. Elijah Moore, 1 reception, 14 yards. Outside of Khalil Shakir, who of course had the one big 54-yard touchdown, you're not seeing it. He finished with 6 catches, 88 yards. You're not seeing a lot from the wide receivers. Now, they didn't need it in this game. The question is, will it be there when they do need it?
Uh, no, would be my answer right now. How would you look at it any other way to suggest that it's going to be there, because it just hasn't, and it's a problem. I mean, to your point, they're going to have to play a complete game, probably starting 6 days from now on Sunday against Kansas City, right? The amount of downfield passing was non-existent yesterday. I think Allen attempted one throw that traveled more than 15 yards, and it was incomplete, and it was a bad throw. He had Elijah Moore open, and he missed him. And that's troublesome, right? Allen did not look good in the first half of this game. Now, he settled in, and I think it's easier when you're running the ball the way you are, and the score is what it is in the second half. So he didn't express any grave concerns after the game. Naturally, he's not going to do that. Sean McDermott, credited Allen for sticking with it. But this passing offense has problems, has big, big problems. And, yeah, getting Kincaid back is nice. Shakir, it looks good in the stats, right, in the box score, but that touchdown is a 4-yard pass that he does all the work on and takes 50 yards. I mean, to me, that's an extension of the running game. You look at they're completing these slip screens. That was the entire passing offense in the first half, outside of a nice throw to Kincaid over the middle. The signs of progress or of optimism for the passing game were virtually non-existent in this game. Especially in the first half when it was still a game, right? It's 6-0. You're settling for field goals early in the game. Obviously, the score gets to be what it is, and I know that we're going to sound kind of negative here, right? But when you look at the results of the passing game and what they have at wide receiver, what I think they clearly need at wide receiver, which is to add to the position here before the trade deadline. I think the first half of that game yesterday shows that, because guess what? Your defense isn't always going to play against Andy Dalton, who looked like he was actively trying to throw the game. And James Cook isn't always going to run for 216 yards. That isn't always going to be there to win in the playoffs, to get where this team wants to go. You're going to need to be, and I'm going to borrow a phrase from Sean McDermott here, two-dimensional. They were not two-dimensional yesterday. They were one-dimensional, and that one dimension the Panthers didn't have an answer for, but other teams will, right? And so the passing game has got to catch up. It has got to look better than what it does. And again, I'll quote Sean McDermott, or paraphrase Sean McDermott, when he said against Atlanta that things were too hard for their quarterback. It was too hard again in the first half. And, things were easier in the second, because the score was what it was and the running game was doing what it was doing. But that isn't always going to be there. And so they've got to find more answers for Allen. To me, I think those answers lie outside of this organization. I don't think they've got the answers within the wide receiver room.
Trade deadline is November 4th. We'll see if the Bills decide to try to make a move, just as they did last year, trading for Amari Cooper.
All right, and Perryn, we saw a lot of new pieces defensively for this team. Really injected, I thought, some new life into the defense. We can start with Larry Ogunjobi and Michael Hoyt, the two players who returned from 6-game suspensions. Thought both of them contributed, maybe more so Hoyt a little bit. But Ogunjobi is going to play a big role here. We'll get to that as we go here in this segment. But we can't stop there, right? Max Hairston makes his season debut, NFL debut, rotating in with Tre'Davious White. Seemed to play every other defensive series played. a decent amount. I thought, statistically just one tackle, but that's not always a bad thing for cornerbacks. I thought he looked fine, honestly, and I'm interested to see how that plays out in terms of playing time at cornerback opposite Christian Benford. I'm also interested to see, does that alter the Bills' approach at the trade deadline? Do they say, we're good at corner right now? We've got Max Hairston back. We've still got Trey White. We've got Christian Benford. And then even Jordan Hancock, right, at safety with Jordan Poyer getting in. Seemed like passing downs, maybe more so than running downs. Like I said at the start, a lot of new pieces, and defensively, probably their most complete performance. We're going to take out, the quarterback that they played and, the struggles of Andy Dalton for a second. I think, maybe week 2 against the Jets is up there, but this was a very good showing for the defense, and that's before we even get to the takeaways, which finally came back after kind of drying up for the past couple of games. They go +3 in the takeaway battle, so checked a lot of boxes here defensively.
Yeah, you couldn't have hit the nail more on the head, Jay. The Andy Dalton factor notwithstanding, I think this is exactly what you had to hope for if you're a Bills fan, coming out of the bye, going into this game with sort of the reinforcements coming, right? Now, here's where I'll stop and I'll say I have to fully admit, you and I have sort of gone back and forth, me on the side of I thought Max Harrison was sort of destined for more or less a redshirt year where they were going to have to use him very sparingly. Not necessarily because I thought that was the right move, but just because I didn't know how much Sean McDermott was going to trust a rookie corner who hadn't been through camp and the preseason. Well, I was wrong. They rotated him, just as you said. They rotated him in with Trey White, and as best we could tell, he acquitted himself quite nicely. Just as you said, only the one tackle. It was a nice hit though. He proved to not be what Brandon Beane calls a pile inspector. One who's not just going to sort of come in at the end of the play and sort of check things out. He comes out of the backfield on a swing pass, goes out there on the sideline, and Harrison diagnosed it immediately, came up and drops him right there. A good lick on him for a 2-yard gain, right there on the sideline. And just as you said, he never got beat. He didn't look like he was out of position. He didn't look like the moment was too much for him, as they say. You mentioned Jordan Hancock is in, and at some point we'll see if Dorian Strong comes back. And of course, some of the veterans. Listen. I don't want to make too much of this, but you know what you're getting out of Cam Lewis and some of those guys too. So we'll see. Maybe they feel like, okay, we can sort of piece this together with with the safeties. You've gotten Jordan Poyer, who came back, played this game, had 5 tackles. So maybe that's not the big, if we're going to sort of rank the areas of desperate need at the trade deadline, you're going to still put wide receiver at number 1, and maybe if you're the Bills, you decide that's where you're going to go, and you can live with what you got on defense. Especially just as you said, now you've got some reinforcements on the defensive line. I thought Hoyt had a great game. You could see where he had a lot, 1.5 sacks. That speaks for itself. And then Larry Ogunjobi, I thought he got a lot of pressure up the middle. And of course, he and Deion Walker and some of the others are going to have to play a little bit more. Maybe we're going to see some more Jordan Phillips as well, who also had a sack. And that may prove to be important as we go down the road, just as you said, because Ed Oliver, listen, we don't know what we don't know. It's such a shame for that young lad. We've seen the potential over and over and over again. And the moments when he has been, on the field, particularly this year, he's been dominant at times. But he leaves the field with what appears to be a biceps injury. We know those things can be can have a long recovery time if they're as serious as what we think they are. We just don't know at this point. And so it's a shame. But again, you got those reinforcements, and we knew those reinforcements were going to come after week 6, maybe just in time.
Yeah, regarding Oliver, I think this is problematic. To be ruled out as quickly as he was is never a good sign. He's in a sling after the game. Harry Skull, our photographer, did a great job of getting some photos. You can see him grabbing his arm in one of those photos. So I would tell everybody to take a look at those. Again, we don't want to speculate too much here, but if we operate under the assumption that this is a potential long-term injury, which I think is very fair to do, Ogunjobi's return comes at exactly the right time. And because you've got Daquan Jones, who's still hurt. You've got TJ Sanders, who's hurt. You talked about the trade deadline. I think it goes receiver, defensive tackle now for needs.
Yeah.
I think safety is still up there, at least in terms of depth. My one concern about a safety trade is the runway needed to learn that position in Sean McDermott's defense. It takes a while. And corner, I think, is a little bit less than that. You see Rasul Douglas, a veteran, come in a couple years ago. He's starting almost immediately. I don't see a safety being able to do that in McDermott's defense. It's too complicated. They ask too much of their safeties, but I do think they need to add to that position just in terms of depth. But yeah, getting back to Oliver, 1 sack in every game that he's played. The injuries have been the story for him this year. Unfortunately, he's got the ankle injury. Now he's got this bicep injury. This is a huge, huge loss for the defense. We can't stress it enough. It's you want to feel good coming out of a 40-9 win, and there was a lot to feel good about offensively and defensively. But major, major concern here with Oliver being out.
Okay, so looking ahead to this weekend. Yet again, it's the big Dukaroo. It's the Kansas City Chiefs, the Buffalo Bills. Everything old is new again. It's another big showdown. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. Of course, there's plenty more to it than just the quarterbacks. There will always be plenty more to it than just the quarterbacks. Looking around quickly before we get to that big showdown, look around to the AFC. Patriots win again. That's their 5th in a row. They're still ahead in the AFC East. Pittsburgh Steelers ahead in the AFC North, still despite their loss to the Packers. Indianapolis Colts still rolling along. I think at some point we have to take those guys seriously. Denver ahead in the AFC West now with another win, a big win over the Cowboys. But AFC West, hey, good for them, good for the Chargers. It's still the Chiefs. It's still the Chiefs and Bills. And here we go. Here we go. Patrick Mahomes. Of course, they got off to the slow start at the beginning of this season, and wouldn't you know it, now we look up at the MVP race, and Patrick Mahomes, the old fresh face, now in the driver's seat. He is the front runner, according to the Las Vegas sports books, for the MVP trophy, and here we go. No better time for the Bills to get most of their act in order. For this big showdown. Of course, it's going to mean everything to both of them, no matter what they say. They can talk about how this is just another game. We all know that's a bunch of hooey. What does it mean? Does it mean, well, this is a loaded question because it means so much to both of them, Jay, but I'll just put this to you. Does it mean more to the Bills to win this game and more to the Chiefs, given where they are in the standings? And, look, what are the Bills going to have to do? What are they going to have to do that they haven't done that we need to see from them that we haven't seen in the last several weeks?
I'm going to answer your question with a non-answer. Nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing that they can do in this game. They've beaten the Chiefs in the regular season. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's January. It's January
Right.
that matters. You have to beat the Chiefs in January. This game is important. Don't get me wrong. The Bills need it. I think I think the Bills would feel. Was this win over Carolina a get-right win? In some ways, sure. But a get-right win is beating the Chiefs, especially at this point in the season. And when you look at the standings, I think the Bills still need to be considering making a run at the number 1 seed in the conference. And so for that, for those purposes, This is a huge game. It's not going to answer the ultimate question about Kansas City, and can you beat them when it matters? We have seen the Bills time and again beat the Chiefs in the regular season. Full disclosure here, we are recording this ahead of the Chiefs Monday night game, right? And so things very well could change. You never know what happens in a game, right? If Kansas City somehow goes out and looks bad against Washington or suffers an injury, not that anyone is hoping for that, the outlook of this game could change. But assuming the Chiefs handle their business, which they have been doing recently, this is a big-time challenge for the Bills based on the weapons that Kansas City has offensively, the way they are playing, the way that Steve Spagnuolo has given the Bills challenges and Joe Brady challenges at times in his career, not always, again, because the Bills have played the Chiefs well in the regular season, but just the trajectory of the Bills season, I think, can be drastically altered with a win over Kansas City. I think the number 1 seed, again, becomes very much a talking point. You're running in that direction if you can beat Kansas City. A loss to Kansas City, and given the way that the Patriots are playing, given the way that the Colts are playing, the Broncos are playing, that one seed becomes a bit tougher, right? And how you get there. And you went around the AFC. I thought Denver's win was really impressive. Wake me up when the Patriots play somebody, right? They beating the Browns at home, fine. The AFC North is kind of just all out of sorts. And so for the Bills, massive stakes here against Kansas City. I mean, these are the type of games that you circle when the schedule comes out in May, and you say, boy, I cannot wait to be at Highmark Stadium for that. And I think the way that both teams are playing, where they are in the standings, what it means for both teams, what team does it mean more for? Probably right now, I would argue maybe the Bills, but from the Chiefs side, if the playoffs started today, they wouldn't be in, right? And
That's
so
right.
they set themselves back, with that 0-2 start. They've got work to do this season to get to where they want to go, even though they have looked a lot better recently. So, massive stakes for both teams. And we will be back for the next edition of the Further Review podcast following that big game against the Chiefs. That will come at 10 a.m. next Monday. For Executive Sports Editor Perryn Keys, I'm Jay Skurski. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to stay tuned to BuffaloNews.com all week for our coverage leading into Week 9 against the Chiefs. I'm Jay Skurski. Thanks so much for watching the Further Review podcast.
This is Harry the Hammer for Further Review by Housecrafters. Housecrafters provides complete home renovation services with one call does it all. That includes interior home services as well as windows and doors. Call 716-626-NAIL.